Hello, hello. Here I am coming in just under the wire with my unsolicited review of A Complete Unknown, starring Timothy Chalamet and Monica Barbaro. I enjoyed this film, and I went to see it with my partner, and we have differing relationships to the mid-20th century folk music revival. Namely, I am a big fan, and she is not so much. I'm not saying that she's not a fan. It's not a type of music that she was really familiar with. So I enjoyed the movie. And I especially liked the performances. I thought that Timothy Chalamet was great. I thought that Monica Barbaro was great. Elle Fanning was great, though arguably she doesn't get as much to do because she's kind of the girlfriend who's being heartbroken by Bob Dylan. And Edward Norton was especially great as Pete Seeger. And in some ways, he had the most meaty role. He had the most to do. He was the heart of the movie. He was the anchoring force. He had to kind of be the pathos and all of the emotions that perhaps the other characters did not say. They came across through Edward Norton's character. And I thought he was excellent. I was very moved by his performance. And there were some really fun elements too. I liked the set pieces. I liked the designs. I loved the costume design. I loved watching, pretending like we had been plucked down in Greenwich Village in the early 1960s. And this is a time period that I enjoy hanging out in and visiting. I knew almost all of the songs in the movie, but I will say this. I don't know if I were not a fan of Bob Dylan's and Joan Baez's already, if I would have found this movie compelling. It's hard to say. I'm curious to hear from others. If you weren't a fan and you just went in seeing a biopic of an artist that you weren't really that familiar with, how was it for you? Yeah, I didn't... because there isn't a lot of plot, and we have not learned much about Bob Dylan through this. In fact, I will also say that the characterization of Bob Dylan, I'm not a Dylanologist. I'm familiar with quite a bit of his music, but I'm not like a Dylan head. And so I don't know everything about him. I know that he is famously enigmatic, and that there have been several movies dedicated to his enigmatic nature. So I would say that going into this movie and seeing yet another movie where you come away knowing really nothing about him, I don't know that that's going to be a worthwhile endeavor for everyone. As I said, simply because I wanted to see a recreation of the time period and of the people, I did enjoy it. And I thought that that was well done. But you don't come away learning anything else about Dylan. And if anything, he's kind of annoying, which could be part of the story as well. But because he doesn't really seem to stand for anything except for sort of angry young man pushing back against anyone telling him what to do. That's how he comes across. And I'm sure there's more to it than that, but maybe I needed more of it to be explained. Maybe I would have liked a little bit more explanation. He pushes back against fame as well. But other than that, they don't really do, I don't think, a tremendous job of explaining what maybe was motivating Dylan. And also, I really would have liked more of an explanation of what made his music different. I mean, we get a lot of shots of like a young, scrappy, ragamuffin Bob Dylan playing a song, and everybody is captivated by him. Everybody in the audience is quiet, and they're like, oh, this is the next big thing. This is it. And, I don't know, I wasn't there, and I didn't hear him, but I'm not sure that based on what I saw presented in the movie, it's kind of like you have to take the word for it of the characters around you. Their faces, their expressions are doing the work of showing, oh no, we know this guy's really good. We know this is different. I would have liked a little bit more of an explanation of what made him different. I heard an interview with Joni Mitchell or I read an interview with Joni Mitchell at some point in time where she's compared to Dylan a lot. And, fairly or unfairly for either party involved, I don't know. But she talked about him, and that for her relationship to his music, lyrically, he had a sort of a punch and an intensity, and even vulgarity to a certain extent, in the use of common language, that she wasn't used to. So she said for her, hearing the opening of Positively 4th Street, where he starts with basically, "You've got a lot of nerve to say you were my friend." She was used to hearing music that was moons and Junes and Ferris wheels, as she famously put it in Both Sides Now. So if he was lyrically doing something different, if he was lyrically doing something compelling at the time, I would have liked to have seen more of an explanation of that. And I know it can be hard in movies, because what are you going to do? Just have a character say, "Gee, Bob, I've never heard anybody sing a song the way you do. You really cut right to the core." But they kind of have some of that anyway. So I just would have liked a little bit more explanation of the music and what in fact made music so compelling. And if it wasn't, if the creator of the movie thought the music wasn't particularly compelling, or that he wasn't a revolutionary artist, then explore that too. And I don't think that's the case. I think that the creator does have a tremendous respect for Bob Dylan as a musician and a songwriter. So also, I hate it when people's reviews are, "Well, it should have been this," because that's not really a very fruitful criticism. But since I said I liked being plopped down in Greenwich Village in the 1960s, I could have done with like a little bit more fan service of some of the other characters around there. I mean, Odetta is mentioned, but she doesn't even get to speak or sing, really. So could we have had some Odetta? Could we have had some Buffy St. Marie? Complicated figure at this point, I know, but still, I would have liked to have seen, just a little bit more of the people on the scene. I mean, heck, throw in Richard and Mimi too. I don't know if they were there at the time, but throw them in because I want them there. Johnny Cash wasn't really at that festival, and they threw him in. So I would have enjoyed that. I did think that some of the strongest scenes were probably like the onstage banter between Barbaro and Chalamet as Baez and Dylan. I thought that, I don't think that this actually happened, but it was supposed to be showing. I don't think that the specifics happened, but when they're touring together and basically he's pushing back on what the fans want, and she's, kind of calling him out for being an asshole and saying, "People paid to hear you sing this, Bob. You need to sing such and such, Bob." I don't know if that's exactly how it went down or not, but it kind of presented some themes of the movie, of Bob Dylan drawing away, and, and I thought that everything that I've read and heard about Joan Baez is that despite the sort of Madonna persona, that she's actually like very witty and like can even make rather cutting remarks. I think she says so herself in her autobiography. So the fact that they would kind of do one thing off stage and then turn off the camera and kind of have these, the on stage, off stage dynamic switch. I thought that was fun, and that worked well. And there were some really great performances. And, but like I said, I wish that it had done a little bit more to maybe explain, or even for an audience that doesn't know, maybe I might have handled the explanation of going electric a little bit differently. Like, what did it really mean? Why was it such a big deal, other than basically Dylan wanted to and other people didn't want him to? And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe people who aren't folkies, maybe people who don't know anything about this got it from the movie. But I guess, like, from the historical standpoint, I could have used just a little bit more of the historical standpoint, because I love this stuff. But that being said, it's still a very good movie, and I would still recommend that people see it. Although, like I said, if you're not a fan of that time period and that music, I don't know if you'll enjoy it or not. Maybe it'll be kind of boring to you. I'm curious to hear what people think. And so, yeah, I just wanted to get that in under the wire because the Oscars are on Sunday, and this has been my unsolicited opinion.